Hello and welcome to our...
Did you do a Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Okay, go on. Start again.
Hello and welcome to... Hello and welcome to our second week of Newspeak Podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Ford.
And I'm Aymon Bertal.
And we're going to take the podcast in a bit of a new direction going forward. We're going to discuss more media news and how the media likes to react to things that are happening in the real world, and try and break it down from our point of view and notice that their biases and how they kind of shape the message and how they're pushing a different agenda, usually depending on where it's coming from.
Yeah, that I feel, as we're both journalism graduates, I feel like that's a good angle we can take, and yeah, that's something that Nick and I agreed on, so that's where we're going to take it. And
as well, we're going to talk each, we're going to bring an underreported story that we think hasn't gotten enough attention in the media, and we're going to discuss why it's been underreported and why it matters. So that's what we're going to be doing going forward, and I hope you all enjoy. But before we get to all this media stuff, we're going to talk about what's been happening in the news recently and break down what's been going on a little bit, which is not so great since Super Tuesday.
Yeah, especially because as the last podcast episode, not the bonus, we were talking up Bernie and his, aspirations.
He was on the roll. He had the momentum going into Super Tuesday.
Yeah,
everyone thought he was going to. Every pundit was saying how the only way to stop Bernie is to stop him from getting a plurality, and everyone thought he was going to go into the convention with the most delegates.
Yeah, I think a lot of people underestimated the momentum of South Carolina and how that sort of influences voters.
Also, everyone was looking at the Democratic race, and like back in 2016 with Donald Trump, none of the Republicans were able to get it out of the way and stop form a coherent opposition to Donald Trump. They all stayed in the race and diluted all of the votes and allowed Donald Trump to come through the middle. Unlike the Democrats, are a lot smarter, and they realised they've got to get a few of the front runners out and coalesce behind one boring candidate if you want to beat Bernie Sanders, and that's what they did. They got Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg both dropping out the day before the Super Tuesday and endorsing Biden, which had a massive effect, and now Biden is the front runner.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I think the endorsements, as well as Beto O'Rourke, former nominee, he came out and endorsed Biden and got promised to be the head of gun control. So if Biden gets the presidency, which I don't think will happen, and that's another topic, but there's a lot of things at play, and his gaffes and all that stuff. But yeah, I think all those endorsements, the momentum from South Carolina, and I feel like, in my opinion, and some people disagree, some people agree, about Elizabeth Warren staying in after the Amy and Pete dropped out and endorsed. A Warren endorsement of Bernie would have been great for Super Tuesday, but obviously didn't happen. It diluted the...
Do you think she'll endorse anyone now?
No, I don't think she will. I think
she's
had a chance, and maybe she might do... Well, she might do it tomorrow. So tomorrow's our Tuesday, and then America's Monday. But that'd be the best opportunity for Bernie. I think if she was to endorse him after here, he won't have a good enough delegate count. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't think she's going to endorse anyone. I think she's staying out of the race long enough until she knows who's going to be the front runner and who's going to be in the lead. But I don't think at the same time, if she endorses Joe Biden, it's going to destroy everything that she's fought for. It's totally against all of her principles, totally against all of her values. She's not a centrist candidate that supported, these free trade agreements and has supported Wall Street and corporations. She's been all against that, but that's what Joe Biden stands for. And if she supports Joe Biden and endorses him, then she's throwing all of that out the window. She's pretty much tarnishing her entire reputation as a progressive candidate. And then she'll lose a lot of her audience, a lot of her following, and she'll have nothing to turn to after the election's over.
Yeah, well, a lot of her fan base are obviously progressive, and as you said, it'll tarnish her progressive sort of stance, because if she was to go for Biden instead of Bernie, regardless of these Bernie bros on Twitter or whatever, which is, I believe, an exaggeration, just so then you can attack Bernie instead of his policy. So yeah, I think it'll tarnish her progressive stance. It'll make sure that, you know, in the future, if she wants to go for presidency, she will lose some sort of fan base that she's already got, and will deter Bernie supporters, because I don't know if Bernie doesn't get the nomination, I don't think he'll go for the next presidential campaign. He'll be a bit old. There'll be too many attacks on him. I think
definitely
it would be
not.
pretty dumb if he did. Pretty bold if he did. Not dumb, sorry.
Bold.
Yeah. So I think Elizabeth Warren, as you said, she will stay clear, and I don't think she will endorse someone by the end of it. No. Unless she was promised vice presidency, maybe by either.
Okay, so there's more states voting tomorrow.
Do you want me to read those out? So, Idaho, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, and Washington. That's 6 states. So, do you have any idea?
Well, I think the big one right now is for Bernie, Michigan, because he won Michigan against Hillary Clinton after having a poor Super Tuesday in 2016. So he definitely needs to win Michigan again. And that's one of the, you know, he has been doing a lot of rallies there recently. He's moved a lot of his other campaign rallies into Michigan, because he definitely needs to win Michigan. If he doesn't win Michigan, then he's not going to be able to catch up. And it's going to be it's one of the biggest states, and it's also one of the states where there's a lot more working class people that have been affected by free trade agreements, which is why in 2016 they voted against Hillary Clinton and supported Bernie Sanders. They were the ones who, you know, lost all their jobs from NAFTA and other free trade agreements, like the proposed TPP was going to happen. And that's why they wanted to vote for an outsider like Bernie Sanders. So if Bernie Sanders can, like, you know, bring home this argument that, you know, Joe Biden's the same as Hillary Clinton and hasn't had their best interests in mind, and Bernie Sanders generally does better with the working class, so he can potentially win Michigan again. A lot has changed in the last 4 years, though, and so, you know, there's no knowing who's going to win. I think if you had to predict, it'd be Bernie Sanders would win Michigan, but not by a huge margin. Yeah,
well, I just watched his sort of speech at his rally, and yeah, he seems confident that he can win that vote, because he appeals to what they need. Obviously, he in Flint, the water crisis. He'll promise that he's promised that he will address that issue much better than Obama did, and everyone knows what happened with Obama. And if you didn't, definitely search it up. And Joe Biden was part of Obama's campaign, so there is a bit of a tainted sort of sense of Joe Biden. So that might play into Bernie's hands, and I hope it does. But yeah, I just don't know if there's, as you said before, Biden is $1.12 on Sportsbet.
Yeah, there's no comeback.
It's going to be hard.
But that's also because now there's no real shot of Bernie getting a plurality at the Democratic Convention, which means Joe Biden is the likely candidate that the DNC backers are going to pick. They're going to choose him over Bernie Sanders, because they're going to have the option of choosing, because it'll be a contested convention, which is, you know, doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter about democracy, does it? You know.
Yeah, exactly. You go against the voters' words, and you know.
And I was reading, the Li Fang from The Intercept has put out some good articles, and he's showing that a lot of the lobbyists, the superdelegates in the Democratic Party are actually lobbyists for, like, pharmaceutical companies, healthcare companies, and, like, you know, it's just insane that they actually have, they'll be losing money, and they'll lose jobs if they vote against Joe Biden and they vote for Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, well, exactly. The Biden presidency will keep them at bay. You know, they'll be able to keep on to their money, keep on to their power. Whereas if they gave it to Bernie, or if Bernie was to get the nomination, a lot of their rights and their power will be taken away. So they were worried about a Sanders presidency. That's why they did all they could to get Amy and Pete to drop out, instead of, you know, making Super Tuesday a bit more, you know.
Yeah. So the states that are coming up on March 10th, this Tuesday, is Idaho, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, and Washington. And all these states, Bernie Sanders won in 2016, which is a good sign, but he's going to need to pull the same thing again this election cycle. Because Clinton only won Mississippi and Missouri, and those aren't very big states. Where he won Michigan, which is 125 delegates, and he won Washington, which is 89 delegates. So if he does well again this election cycle, he will get back to the lead.
Okay. So do you think he will be able to draw those crowds again? Because a lot of the things that he was questioned about after Super Tuesday was that he wasn't able to draw those crowds, of those young crowds that he
they think so, because he's it's pretty much it's a very similar race. He's going against Joe Biden, who is pro free trade, and he's going up against states where free trade agreements have affected the Midwest and have affected the Rust Belt. So all of these workers have lost jobs, and they see Bernie Sanders as the candidate that supports them. So yeah, I think he could do the same. I think he
has been drawing on those key points, because what he's been trying to do, obviously, is because it's just between him and Biden now, because obviously Tulsi's in there, but she only has 2 delegates. I don't see any path to victory for her. I think it's more of just a I can't even explain it, but I don't know why she's still there. Yeah. More of like just a way of showing the Democratic Party that she can do whatever she wants, maybe in the race.
But the problem for Bernie, though, after this, not so Super Tuesday, and the smaller Tuesday that's coming, where he might be able to get back in the lead. He's got a lot of very tough states coming up that he didn't win any of last year. Yeah. Clinton won very well in Florida and Illinois, and she won Ohio and Arizona and Georgia, which are all the next, 7 states, 8 states in a row.
Well, Arizona's the following Tuesday.
Yeah, Arizona, Florida, Illinois, and Ohio, all on the same day.
I think what
Clinton won all of those.
Yeah, I think what he needs to draw on, because I honestly feel like he's going to get Arizona. I think he's going to get Arizona. Mm-hmm. Florida, he just needs to mitigate.
He's not going to get Florida.
He just needs to mitigate his loss. Yeah. He can't afford to lose big there. And then the rest. Georgia's the next week after that. And then 4th of April is Alaska, Hawaii, Louisiana, Wyoming. That might be the reason why Tulsi's waiting for Hawaii. Just for... Who knows?
Who knows why Tulsi's still running?
Then 3 days after that is Wisconsin.
Tulsi's not going to be in Congress anymore, mate. She's just bored. She has nothing else to do.
Well, exactly. I can't see. But anyway, so...
I think Tulsi should drop out and endorse Bernie, because, what else?
I don't think she will do that.
Why not?
I just don't see that happening.
Not endorsing Bernie?
I just don't think you see her endorsing anyone.
Yeah, well, it doesn't really... She gets, 1%. I don't think she's going to do much. But this is definitely 1% that's taken away from Bernie Sanders, though. She's very left of field, very outside of the Democratic establishment. So every vote for her is pretty much a vote, that Bernie isn't picking up.
Yeah, it's not a big percentage, but
it's tiny.
It is, it's votes. It's votes at the end of the day.
Fingers crossed that Bernie just takes it home.
I've got faith. I'm going to stay optimistic about it. Yeah. I don't think Nick is, but...
Look, no, I'm optimistic about this next week. After that, it's not going to look good. You don't hold your breath. Yeah, you're watching Joe Biden go up against Donald Trump in the debates.
There is a debate on the 15th of March.
Oh, yep.
Which could...
That will be huge.
If they can get a good viewership, if they can market it well, Bernie's going to destroy Biden.
Oh, yeah.
Going back and forth.
But also, it's perfect timing. So Bernie can do well in these next few states coming up, hopefully, like he did in 2016. They'll have the debate on March 15th, and Joe Biden's going to have to speak for a long period of time, and everyone's going to see how senile he is and how he can't finish sentences. He's going to lose so much track of what to say and how to speak. This is on the March 15th, and then after that is 4 states that Bernie Sanders did not do very well in 2016. So if he can make the case to the American people on the debate, he can really show that Joe Biden is not worthy to be the Democratic candidate, that he is not healthy. His brain is not all that. He is sunsetting.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate turn of events. Don't get me wrong.
She shouldn't put a dementia patient up for president.
Yeah, the thing is, people are conflating, people calling out Biden's obvious cognitive decline as attacks against his character and everything. We're not trying to attack. Like when I do it, and a lot of people, majority, aren't trying to attack him for being struggling with dementia.